And what do we find on the Hyundai?
Well, I checked the code, finally got the code, says P0337, and I noticed there's no tachometer movement, and I have spark, but no power to the injectors, I guess.
And this is the 05 Sonata, is that right?
Yes.
You got a P0337. And you said there's no tach movement when cranking, is that right?
Right.
And are you sure you have spark?
Yeah, because it fired and ran on with ether.
I've actually come across some of them that will actually, just because the way it is, I know it sounds very strange, but sometimes you can get the engine to run just a little bit on starting fluid, even if there's no spark. So I would probably just double check for spark, just to be sure. But
Hey, those have, I only see 2 spark plug wires there. Is the other, does the coil sit down on the other plugs?
I do believe so. That is correct. Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. So the P0337, it does indicate an issue with the crank sensor.
Really?
Yeah. And you said you replaced the crank sensor. Is that right?
Just put it in. Haven't even put everything together on the car yet. Just put it in.
Are you sure? Did you clear the code after you replaced it?
No.
Oh, we got to go ahead and clear that.
I never thought of that.
So maybe we don't have a P0337 after this new crank sensor was installed. So I would clear the codes and then, or actually first, I would just check for spark. Just to be sure we got bright blue spark that can jump a half an inch of a gap. If it's easier for you, then just test for spark on the ones that have the cylinders that have the spark plug wire. And then just to find out and then let me know. But after that, then let's clear the codes. And then if you still get a P0337 code in the computer, well, then at that point, maybe the computer isn't seeing engine RPM, and maybe that explains why the tach isn't moving. And sometimes I think this computer does need to see the cam and the crank sensor signals in order to fire spark and in order to maybe to fire that tach. I could be wrong. Maybe it comes from the crank sensor itself. But what we could do, if need be, hang on here. Did you say you had a wiring issue with the crankshaft position sensor? You did something to the pigtail?
No. In fact, I don't even know if the old one was bad. It just had the code. So the guy had bought the thing ahead of time, the crank sensor, and the TPS also. So he must have had a code like that too. I don't know.
Okay. So you got a pink wire at the crank sensor. Should be battery voltage, key on, and while cranking. Then you got a black wire, should be a good ground. And then your yellow wire should be an on-off square waveform when cranking. So without a lab scope, it'd be hard to check that yellow wire. You could do it key on, engine off. You just rotate the engine slowly by hand. You have to tap into that wire either at the crank sensor or at the computer. And as you rotate the engine, your voltmeter should display 0 volts. It's either going to go up to 12 volts or maybe a 5 volt toggle, or it should be moving basically. And that's how the computer knows the engine's rotating.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll check all that out and see what they come up with.
And then there's one more thing I wanted to cover with you real quick. Hang on, bear with me here. Hang on. Check the crank sensor to see if it's installed correctly. Apparently, the crank sensor will go on backwards in this vehicle. So I just want to let you know. So that's another thing we could check. Make sure it's installed correctly. Is that it? Do you remember when you installed it, is it possible that it could go on backwards that you could see?
No, because I've seen where the pickup, where it was built into it.
Okay.
I put it on like the old one.
All right, so it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. All right, I would need to see it. I'm just going off my notes here. All right, my friend. Well, let's check those few basic things and then let me know.
Thank you.
All right, you bet. You're welcome.